What's up, VC? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel, and it's time for another hard rock and heavy metal vinyl update. Let's just kind of jump into it and get going here. First up, this is a band that I had never heard of until, I don't know, maybe 7-8 months ago when I think it was Eric Dust sent Scott Waters a copy of this band's newest album. And he talked pretty highly of them, and then he's shown a couple of their albums since then. This is their EP, The Madness Begins, and this is Power Mad. This album is awesome. It's a, I don't know if they called it an EP or a mini LP, but it's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 songs. Killer thrash though. Highly recommend checking this band out, and now I'm on the lookout for everything that they've released. I can't get enough of this. I've played this 5 or 6 times. It's going to get played 5 or 6 more times before it goes into the collection there. Again, just killer thrash, and highly recommend grabbing that one. Next up, a little bit of Yngwie Malmsteen and Rising Force. I picked this one up at a local antique store for like $6 or $7. It's pretty much in near mint condition, a little corner cut there. But you know, I avoided Yngwie's stuff for a long time, thinking it was just going to be straight up neoclassical guitar. So anytime I saw his name, I kind of stayed away from it, and I wish I wouldn't have, because everything I've gotten from him over the last 5 or 6 years, I've absolutely loved. And this is another example of that. Just a great album, and definitely worth having in the collection. Marching Out by Rising Force. Next up, let's see. These next two are a couple that Scott turned me on to. He sent me a message about seeing these on eBay. This first one is a band that I got into because of him probably 3 years ago or so when we first met. I guess maybe 2 years ago. When we first met, though, he turned me on to this band, and I've absolutely fallen in love with them. This is Hellstar. This is the James Rivera legacy, and it's a split between Vigilante and Hellstar. It's got 4 songs from Hellstar and 6 songs from Vigilante. Vigilante is Hellstar under their previous name. From what I understand, they were originally called Vigilante before changing their name. But just really good American power metal, Texas power metal. This is on Hidden Metal Gems. I've gotten a couple of albums from this label, and I've really liked everything. They're all limited pressing that they do. And it's all really obscure, hard to find stuff like this. I mean, this is basically demos. So definitely worth picking up if you can find a copy. Again, we got this off of eBay for like $15 shipped. And then when I was digging around on the guy's website, and actually, is this one? I can't remember what kind of vinyl. No, this one's on black vinyl. I think the other one's on colored vinyl. But the other album that the guy had for sale was this one, and it's funny. This is one that Scott had asked me if I had heard of this band maybe 2 or 3 weeks before. So I have a feeling he was searching for this band on eBay and found that Hellstar too. But this is Molten Metal from Stainless Steel. Again, just some really good 80s metal. Again, on Heavy Metal Gems Records. This is number 408 of 500. Are they the same number? No, 304. But this is really good too, and definitely recommend picking this one up as well. And this one is on white vinyl. Just really good straight up metal though, and I really dig this. I love that there's so many labels out there doing this stuff though, finding these obscure demos, these obscure albums, and repressing this stuff. That I mean, you're not going to get neither of that. Those were released on vinyl previously. Next up, I've shown this album a bunch of times. This is one of my all-time favorite bands. The only reason I bought this copy was because it's got a different album cover. This is Born in America from Riot, and this one was on Grand Slam Records. This is an '89 reissue of this '83 album. But I found it for 10 bucks shipped, and again, Riot's one of my favorite bands. I really like this album cover, and picked it up for that. This was a really cool find. I've been looking for everything from this band. I've now got their first 4 albums. This is Blood Rock USA. Again, I absolutely love everything that this band has put out. Just killer 70s hard rock. What's amazing about this band is how much they released in such a short time. I believe they have 7 full-length albums and 1 or 2 live albums as well. And they were only together for 4 years. I mean, they did all of this in the span of 4 years. They were doing 2 albums a year pretty much. And everything, again, I've only heard the first 4. I haven't heard the last few. But I love everything I've heard from the first 4 albums. And that is one of the all-time best album covers right there. The little monster sticking the dildo finger through his head. It's just killer. Now, a couple of people have shown Blood Rock over the last few years. I think Brino actually showed this record itself about a year ago. But really good record, really good band. If you find anything from Blood Rock, grab it. Next up, this one, man, this blows me away. I like this band. I like this album. This has got to be the worst hard rock heavy metal album cover of all time. This is Vigilante from Magnum, and it's got this magical unicorn and the pinks and the, oh man. And this one's it's actually a white label. I don't think it's a white label promo, but it is marked promo. It's kind of weird because Polydor did white label promos. This one's got the promo marking on it, but it's not white label for some reason. Regardless, though, it's definitely a different sound. I mean, Magnum has never been a heavy metal band. They've always been on the poppier side of hard rock, at least the albums that I've heard. And this one is probably the most pop album that I've heard of them. It's still got a hard rock edge, and it's still a good album and worth having in the collection. But definitely not the sound that you got from them from the late 70s and early 80s. This one was 86, so that's a later release for them. Next up, this one was a really cool find. I very rarely see this. I've never seen it in the US. I've seen it on eBay a few times, and it's usually super high price. Really good 70s rock album though. I got this for really cheap because it was in bad condition, and you're not gonna understand it when I show you this because it looks really nice. But this is Helix, Breaking Loose. The vinyl was in super clean condition, but somebody had put tape along the top of here and the bottom here, and what had happened was the bottom had separated, so they taped the top and bottom instead of just re-gluing it. So what I did is I got a heat gun and heated up the tape and slowly pulled it off, and it left a bunch of residue on here. And I got some Goo Gone or Gooby Gone, whatever it's called, and just slowly removed it, and now this thing looks immaculate. And it just shows what a couple minutes of work can do to some of these albums. You know, don't walk away from an album because it's got a little bit of tape on it or stickers on it, because 9 times out of 10 you can get that stuff off without damaging the album. And the only residue or the only damage that it did was in this bottom corner right there. You can see where, and this wasn't even caused by the Goo Gone or anything. What had happened was the tape started to peel and it was dry, so it took some of the cover with it. But now I've got a really nice cover, or a really nice copy of Breaking Loose that I got for $10 shipped because somebody put tape on it. So really happy to have this, though. I'm a big fan of Helix. This is not the sound that you're used to. This is more of a 70s rock sound, 70s hard rock. This was 78, I think. 79 when this came out. And the next album, you heard kind of a mix of their 70s sound and their 80s sound. And then by their third album, it was the Helix that we've come to know and love, the hard rock, heavy metal version of the band. But this is still a must-have. I don't think this was ever released in the U.S., which is why it's so hard to get here. And I've had John, SMF Kevin Howdy, looking for me for quite a while, and he never sees it there either. So next up, let's go to this one. Somebody showed one of the represses of this not too long ago. I paid a little bit too much for this, just because it's rare and you never see it. It's not in the best condition, but it is a good playing album. This is Steal the Light from Q5. Q5 was a really good heavy metal band from the 80s. They don't look like a heavy metal band in this picture, but I love this picture of the band. This is the self-released version of this. They were I can't remember if they were from Seattle or from Olympia, but they were part of that Seattle metal scene in the 80s. This band is kind of a super group. You've got members of TKO, which were a 70s hard rock and early 80s hard rock band. And then you've got members of another band called Core. The most important member of this band is Floyd Rose. If you're not familiar with Floyd Rose, if you're a guitarist, you know who he is. Floyd Rose made the Floyd Rose Tremolo, which is the little piece on the bottom of the guitar that the whammy bar is connected to. You see Eddie Van Halen slamming that thing. The Floyd Rose Tremolo really revolutionized guitar playing, and Eddie Van Halen wouldn't have this. Actually, most late 70s and early 80s metal wouldn't have that sound that it had without Floyd Rose. So, I mean, he really changed metal with his invention. And he was also an amazing guitar player. Again, he was in the band Core, and he later did Q5. Unfortunately, the band kind of fell apart after this album. And actually, this one is signed by Evan Sheely, who was, what did Evan do? I want to say he was the bassist in the band. But regardless, it's kind of hard to see. It is a signed copy. And it says, "To Teresa, my #1 supporter and friend from Evan and Q5, 10/14/1984. Again, this was released maybe a year later when they got picked up by a major label. The album art completely changed into like this spaceship. I prefer this original album art, and the back cover especially with the photo of the band. But the band is back together now. They actually just released an album within the last few weeks. I may check it out. It doesn't have Floyd Rose though, and Floyd Rose is really what made this album special. His guitar playing, like I said, is absolutely phenomenal. And this is an album definitely worth picking up. Next up, Warlord video soundtrack and the Cannons of Destruction Have Begun. This is an awesome album. Warlord, unfortunately, was a very short-lived band. Just some absolute classic songs, though. They've had a couple CDs come out, and it's all basically rearrangements of all their songs. I mean, just their songs in different orders. Killer band though, and the names that they put are hilarious. The band name: Destroyer, Thunderchild, Archangel, Damian King II. The back cover, just killer 80s metal though. I love this band. And actually, what we're listening to in the background is a super group, which consists of, let's see, you've got Phil Bynoe from Warlord. He was one of the founding members of Warlord. The name of the band, is Slavior. It's more of a progressive metal than the straight up metal of Warlord. But you've got Phil Bynoe from Warlord. You've got Mark Zonder, who was in Fate's Warning. What else? He was also on Warlord. I didn't realize that. So you got two members of Warlord here. He also played with, there was another band, Shattered Destiny. You've got Wayne Finley from Michael Schenker, Temple of Rock, and MSG. He also played with Vinnie Moore. And then on vocals, you got Greg Anala, who was, let's see, Shadow Train and Seventh Signs. So a super group of sorts, and you do have a couple of members of Warlord in this band. This is a really good album, though. If you like progressive metal, progressive hard rock, a really good album to pick up. And again, that's Slavior. Next up, Acid. I can't talk enough about this band. I've mentioned time and time again. This is one of my all-time favorite bands. This is one of my all-time favorite albums. This is the recent reissue on Wax Maniacs Records. And they did a good job reissuing this. I may do a comparison video because I do have an original pressing from '83. This has never been repressed until now, so it's really nice that somebody finally did this. But they did it on this really nice vinyl. I really dig this. And you've got the Wax Maniacs label. This is actually a replica of the original label with Wax Maniacs just put at the top there. You've got an insert with some really good pictures of the band. And the lyrics, and then just the story of the band. So I really like this. It's a nice pressing. I do want to do a comparison, though, and the reason I want to do a comparison is because of the next album from Wax Maniacs, and that is this is Persecution Mania from Sodom. I was really excited to see that somebody was re-releasing the Sodom too. The Sodom albums are getting hard to find, and they're getting kind of expensive. And they announced that all of this stuff was being, Wax Maniacs announced that it was being done from the original masters. And that may be true with Acid, which is why I want to do the comparison. I don't think it's through with Persecution Mania. And I thought that something sounded a little off about this. Don't take this the wrong way. This is a good sounding album. It's definitely listenable and definitely worth having. If you can't find another copy of this, grab this Wax Maniacs copy, because they did do a great job on it. Here's the front cover, back cover. I love this gatefold with the big Sodom in there. Pull out I love the inner sleeve, or the insert there. And then they also, oh no, this one doesn't have it. This is the, and this one's on blue vinyl with some little black in there too. So here's my issue. Something doesn't sound right on the vinyl. And I was doing some research. They actually released the band's first album first, and this is their second album. And somebody said, while it was taken from the master recordings, they did a comparison, and they found some issues that were on the original vinyl that are also on the new one. So they're thinking they either pressed it direct from vinyl, from the original vinyl pressing, or from the original vinyl, or from the vinyl master, which did have apparently an error on it that was transferred to the new album. I've tried to get a copy of that first album. It's impossible to find, and the copies that I do find are going for 50 or 60 bucks. Wax Maniac, and again, I something just doesn't. It sounds really good, but it doesn't sound to me like it was taken from the original masters. And I'd love to find an original pressing of Persecution Mania, so I could do an album-to-album comparison. I'm not sure what's going on with Wax Maniacs, though. They've released 4 albums, again, 2 Sodoms, the Acid, and then they've also released the debut from Violence, which is also I'd like to get a copy of, because I don't have a copy of that on vinyl. And they've done some really cool copies too with alternate covers. They did a really cool silk screened cover of Violence that looks awesome, and I'd love to get a copy of that. But all of their stuff has been selling out really fast. People really like it, and from what I understand, they also have the rights for Acid's second and third albums. So I was really excited to see those. One of them was supposed to come out this month, and the label's gone silent. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but they haven't updated their website since March or April. They haven't been updating their Facebook. There was an error with my order, and I emailed them, and they didn't get back to me for like 2 weeks, and by that time my order had already come in, so I'm not sure if the label's fallen apart. If it has, that's kind of sad, because like I said, these are decent pressings of hard-to-find albums, especially the Acid. You can't get Acid, their debut, for under $50 in good condition. And they did have some really good stuff lined up. They were supposed to release more of the Sodom albums, and again, they were supposed to release the next 2 Acid albums. So I would like to hear, if anybody knows what's going on with the label, let me know. But still, they're worth having, and you can still get the Acid and the Sodom from the Wax Maniacs website. So I do highly recommend getting those if you don't have them, especially the Acid, because it's an amazing, amazing album. And then I think this is last but not least, I finally picked this up on vinyl. I've got a signed copy of this on CD. This is the Formation of Damnation from Testament. Again, one of my all-time favorite bands. Alex Skolnick is probably top 3 of my favorite guitarists of all time. This wasn't his return to the band. He had returned the album prior to this, but this is the first studio album with him back in the band. And I love this album. I actually love everything they've released. They have a new album coming out really soon that I can't wait to hear. This one is the green vinyl pressing. And this one also came with, let's see if I can find it in here. This one came with the insert there. And then this one also came with a hat for your battle jacket. But that's it, VC. 22 minutes is plenty long. But again, we're listening to Slave here in the background. Definitely worth checking out. Go ahead and leave comments. Give me thumbs up, thumbs down. Leave your thoughts. Tell me what you think. Subscribe. Other than that, take care, VC, and I'll talk to you soon.